Morning all, it is March 23rd, Monday. Today, our goal of today actually, hopefully you've already submitted attendance, hopefully you also have completed an entry in your coronavirus journal. So what we're going to focus on today is reviewing the characteristics of a strong college essay. We're going to look at the structure a little bit, and then lastly, you will begin writing. Okay, so you will begin writing your rough draft for today. Your goal of today is to kind of review these qualities, get a little bit stronger with these qualities, and then write your own rough draft. And you'll submit this rough draft, and you will get points for that today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to go to Google Classroom. If you want to open up, it's not posted yet because it is Sunday right now for me, but if you want to open up Monday 3/23 class, writing the rough draft, go ahead and open that up. And in this document, you're going to see there are two documents, okay? Please open up the Personal College Essay one. This is the document we're going to be on together here for the majority of this lecture. So if you open this one up, exit out of that one. Here we go. So what I'm going to do here shortly is I'm going to just review this assignment overall. I'm going to review this assignment at the beginning. I'm going to review with you the qualities of a good draft, the qualities of a good essay, what questions should be answered. The last thing I'll review with you is the structure, okay? And this is where you're going to write your actual draft. So if you noticed on Google Classroom, this is shared with each of you. I'm going to open this up so you can just see this from my end. What I've done is I have made a copy of this for each of you. Personal College Essay Rough Draft, make a copy for each student. So what this does is it's assigned you your own copy. So hopefully on your end, you can see where this is your own copy. I'll get back to that part later, okay? So just know you've got your own copy. Hopefully you can access that. Hopefully that is what you'll turn in. If that's not working for you right now, that's okay. Okay, so right now you have two options. You can pretty much just watch this video and go for it on your own in a little bit, or you can pause this video as I go, and you can kind of follow along with me. It's your call. I think the latter is easier, so if you're following along, this is where I'm at. Okay, so personal college essay, as we've talked about here a lot in the past couple weeks, your final draft is due next Tuesday. Okay, now, next Tuesday by class time. This is subject to change. It's just going to depend how this week goes with time. Right now, it's still set at 40 points, and the word count is pretty subjective. 350 to 700 words. It's your choice. It's whatever works best for you, okay? 350 to 700 words. I will say this, though. Sometimes the shorter you go, the harder it is. So it's very wide open there. You have a lot of wiggle room, so do what's best for you. Okay, so all of you have already written about which college prompt you're going to write or which work application prompt you're going to use. You've all already selected that. You've already written about it in your paragraph. These are just here if you want to look over them again. Maybe you're going to have a change of heart. Okay, but this is the end goal here. We've got our final draft ready by next Tuesday. We've got it in this word count. Every college, though, has a different word count. As you saw last week with the pizza one, remember the girl who wrote about pizza and she got into Yale? Hers is only 200 words. So the reason why I have this so wide open is because every college has it wide open too, okay? Every prompt is a little different. So down here, let's go ahead and review the characteristics of a strong college essay, okay? Now would be a good time if you want to pause. You could go ahead and go through your guided notes. You could go ahead and go through your graphic organizer, and you could look through, what did we talk about in the slideshow? This light bulb just went off for me. I'm going to upload the slides again to Google Classroom. But yeah, what did we talk about in the slideshow? What did those great college essays have in them? All three of those examples have been uploaded. Those are all on Google Classroom. If you want to see the examples, they're all here. Okay, and I also have a website for you to look at there as well. This has like 12 other examples. They're all a little different. So now would be a great time. Pause, go review those things. I have such good faith that you are reviewing your little hearts out right now. On with the show. Okay, so a quick review. Just remember, this college essay is your own personal story. So you're sharing what you think reveals your uniqueness, okay? It's your own personal story. So honestly, some of you, all of you did a great job with your personal narratives or your memoirs. So if you're needing a little bit of inspiration, some of you should go back and look at your personal narrative. Look at your memoir. That's a personal story as well. Maybe that's a good path for you guys to kind of look at again. Otherwise, just remember it's your story. 2, you want to leave a good impression on your audience. You want to leave them with, they're only seeing a paper and your name on it. So you want them to, when they read your story and they think, man, that Benny Williams, he seems like a good guy. That was a great college essay, right? Like you want to leave a good impression. This is one of the most important parts. Remember, you're trying to weave in there either a lesson learned, you're trying to weave in a purpose. When we read those essays 2 weeks ago, I asked you, what do you think the purpose of this essay is? What do you think the purpose of this is? And you guys, you were really quick on this. You were quick to notice, oh, well, the guy who cleaned houses with his mom, he wants you to know that he's a hard worker. He wants you to know he thinks a lot about opportunity. You were quick to notice this. He weaved that in throughout his essay. So how are you going to do that as well? Okay? How are you going to do that? And I'm going to talk about this later. All right? The last thing I want to say here before we move on, this is a rough draft. Sometimes rough drafts are the hardest to write. Don't sweat it. Here's my advice. Just start writing. Just start writing. Don't worry about your structure. Don't worry about anything else. If it's coming to you, just write it down. We can always go back later. Okay? You can always go back later. So that's a quick review. A few things that should be answered while reading your essay or after reading your essay. Okay? After a board reads your essay, they should know what you're bringing to the table. Okay? They should read this and say, you know what, we really want that Ryan Spears. He's a hard worker. He's going to bring a lot to this company. He's going to bring a lot to this college. He's bringing hard work, determination, and he's really quick-witted. He's bringing those things to the table. We can tell from this writing. Other things to think about. What is unique about you? What is unique or different about you from other applicants? Now, I'm going to say a couple things here on this point, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. But oftentimes, you're competing against other people. Here are some things about other people. Many other athletes have torn their ACL. So if you're going to write about an injury, how is that unique to you? How is that different from the other athletes who have done that? If you're going to write about a loss of a loved one, that is so personal and that is so touching, and you can turn that into a wonderful essay, but make sure you're bringing in those unique qualities because everyone experiences loss, okay? Same thing with, other touchy subjects like the divorce of a family, gaining step siblings. Those are great topics. Those are strong topics to kind of use to your advantage and reveal who you are through them. But again, just make sure you are bringing out your uniqueness of that story, your uniqueness of yourself. I'm not diminishing any of you, anything you've gone through, but I just want to remind you, it's a competition, right? Like you're competing against other people. So how can you prove yourself different? Okay? Last couple things. Does your essay answer the prompt, right? Like whatever prompt you're picking, whatever it is up here, does your essay answer that? All right? Maybe your essay doesn't answer it today, but maybe it does on Wednesday. And I bet it does by Friday, okay? And yeah, just remember, I just remember when I would apply for jobs before I was hired at Cretin, Durham Hall, before I was hired at the school before that is, it's so unfair because I've met all of you, and I know how wonderful all of you are. You each have a light in your eye, and you each really are terrific people, but they're just seeing you on paper, And it's not fair. like, it's really not fair. They're just seeing you on paper. So again, what can you kind of bring to life in your essay? Just kind of think about that, okay? So the last thing I'm going to go over here, we've gone through the prompts again. We went through the essay overall. A quick review on what you want to focus on. A quick review, we reviewed what questions that should be answered. Lastly, I'm going to go over here briefly the structure. Okay, now I'm going to be brief on this video because I don't want you to feel like I've been talking at you for 20 minutes. I'm going to briefly go through the structure. Some of you don't really have trouble getting started. Some of you don't really, you're pretty abstract. Like, you don't need a structure to go off of. But if you're anything like me, I like to know, like, where's point A, point B, point C? Like, how should this thing look? That's how I am as a writer. That's how I am as a teacher. So that's why I set up structure here. If you want more information on structure, go to Google Classroom. There is an option here. Okay, the structure example, I also have a video on it, and I'm going to go through it in a lot more detail. Okay, so if you're interested in that, head there after this. But very briefly, as we've kind of talked about, every college essay has a much different structure. This is because of word length, this is because of topic, of prompt. So don't get hung up on paragraphs, okay? Like, I know, before I even begin, I just want to say, I know right here I say first paragraph. Don't get hung up on it. You might not have 3 or 5 paragraphs. That's fine. You might have 3, you might have 7. This is however you want it to look. I just want to emphasize to you, whatever you do with paragraphs, you need to have some. Okay, this can't just be one long thing. You've got to have some separation. And wherever you do that, make sure you're still following topic sentences, transition sentences, and concluding sentences, right? Like, make sure if you're using paragraphs, however you're doing it, because you will be, you're still practicing the structure of writing, all right? So, the beginning. I'm going to say really the beginning of your essay, you should have some kind of hook, okay? Maybe this isn't a one-liner. Maybe your hook isn't one sentence, but it's something, right? Like something to engage the reader, okay? Something that kind of draws them in or makes them want to continue reading. You know, the first essay we read about the guy who was cleaning houses with his mom, he describes this beautiful home. Like, you know, the lavish bedrooms and the plush carpet, and he says all this stuff, and it's great, it's wonderful, and then he reeled you in because he's like, well, it's not mine, so this isn't my house. You know, he had like a twist in there. So however you, and that wasn't the first paragraph either, that was just at the beginning of his essay. So however you want to weave in that hook, just as long as it's kind of in the beginning, okay? How are you going to have maybe a twist in your story, or maybe you're just going to be very straightforward? The day that changed everything. Like, you're just going to be blunt, and that's great too, okay? But you've got some kind of hook there. All right, the next thing I'll talk about here, the topic of your essay should be clear, okay? In other words, the reader should have some idea of what your essay is going to be about. Okay, now this doesn't mean you're gonna state, you know, this essay is about how my grandpa taught me a lot of things while we were fishing. Please don't state exactly what your essay is going to be about. If you want to do it on your rough draft, that's fine. If you want to do it on Wednesday, that's fine. But your final drafts will not have you explicitly stating what the topic is. Rather, I should be able to read your first couple paragraphs and I can tell, oh, okay, this writer's talking about how much they love pizza or origami or how they learn so much through cleaning houses with their parents. Like, that's great. Just, you know, show, not tell. We talked about that a lot with personal narrative, with our memoir. Show, not tell. Make sure it's clear what you're writing about. So moving on to the second point here, remember we talked about this earlier, there has to be something, some lesson learned, some strength or some unique quality in this essay, okay? The better off you are is when you can weave this in throughout, and it doesn't have to be a lot, okay? Jump over to my structure essay to see what this looks like, how this blue is showing you how this guy weaved in his lessons, okay? It doesn't have to be a lot, but make sure you're at least mentioning or thinking about, maybe it's not done today on your first rough draft, but think about like, what is that purpose? Okay, like what is going to be the lesson learned, the strength, or what are these people on the board going to walk away with? Okay, how can you weave that in throughout your essay? So the last part here, it really goes into, number 2 is setting the table, right? Like if you mention over and over again in this essay, maybe at least twice, my mom and I worked really hard. We did this or that. My grandpa taught me patience, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're setting the table throughout, then when you get to the conclusion, you get to eat, okay? You've set the table. It's time to capitalize on a meal, all right? And I know I'm speaking in metaphors, but roll with it, okay? When you get to that conclusion, it's your chance to point to whatever you've been weaving in or out. It's your chance to point to it and say, because of this, look at what I learned. Look at what I'm presenting, okay? Again, this might be kind of dicey for you today. Check out my other video. Focus on this on Wednesday. If today you just want to get started, focus on the structure part on Wednesday. That's totally okay, all right? So hopefully what you've gotten today is a quick review, some quick questions, and a little bit on structure. What I want you to do now for the rest of the time here, your goal is to rough draft for at least 20 to 30 minutes, okay? So your goal is to write for 20 to 30 minutes. You're going to have Wednesday's class period as well, but I'm hoping this rough draft is done by Friday, okay? So please just begin writing anywhere on this page, okay? Anywhere on this page would be great. Again, I'm just hoping that this is shared with me, okay? So like I said, I kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the video. If you've already started this work somewhere else, just copy and paste your rough draft into here. Okay, copy and paste it into here. I want you to work here on this Google document so I can just comment back and forth for you and give you live feedback. It's really nice because, oh, it's not going to let me do this right now, but typically I can just comment and just give you live feedback, and that'll kind of give you some good direction on where we're going. All right, so the last couple things I want to go over. Again, this was shared with you as your own document, okay? Each of you have your own copy. So if you're not sure how to find your own copy, a couple tips of advice I have for you: go to your Google Drive. You see here I'm on my Google Drive. Go to your Google Drive and there should be a folder that says shared with me, or it might even say my work. There you should be able to open up a lot of stuff. It should be there. Otherwise, just go to your Google Documents. Whoops, I misspelled that. Go to your Google Docs, and you should also have an option up here that says, there should be one that says shared with me. You could do not owned by me, and this will also show the ones shared with you. Okay? So we're hoping that that works. I'm hoping that that works. If it doesn't work, if you don't see your own personal copy, just create a Google Doc and share it with me, okay? So really the only thing you've got to do today, and this is outlined heavily in your email, you are going to write your rough draft with 20 to 30 minutes. I can see how long you're on here in Google Classroom, and then just submit it here. You're getting 10 points. So yeah, please do this today. My advice, just write. Just begin writing. It gets so much easier as you begin, okay? Good luck. Miss you already. Goodbye.